Thank you for tuning into Healantra podcast. Get ready for a dose of holistic wellness talks to help you achieve optimal health. Enjoy this episode. Welcome to another insightful episode of Healantra, your go-to destination for holistic wellness. Today's guest is joining us all the way from Lebanon. She's a distinguished holistic dietitian, lifestyle management expert, and certified yoga instructor. She comes with a wealth of knowledge spanning from agriculture and food sciences to nutrition and environmental sciences, and she has dedicated her career to helping individuals live happier and healthier lives. Through her initiative, Activerde Lifestyle, which she launched in 2014, she has been advocating for the importance of holistic approach to healthy living and eating habits. Her passion extends beyond individual well-being to raising awareness about environmental issues and their impact on our health. Today's topic is going to be about emotional eating. And I'm sure many of you can relate to this. I can relate to it myself. And we'll be exploring with our guest how our emotions can influence our relationship with food. Our guest will guide us through her holistic approach towards healthier habits with her expertise and insights. Let's welcome Rana El Hindy. Thank you, Rana, for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Rasha, for having me, and it's so good to see you after all these years.
Rana, can you share with us your personal journey and what inspired you to reach to this point to become a holistic dietitian and lifestyle management expert?
Well, it is a long journey. It started when I started university, where I joined. I did my BS degree in agriculture and food sciences. And then after graduating, I was interested in environmental science. So I got a graduate assistantship back then. And my professor encouraged me to study environmental sciences. It was booming at the time. And after I finished my master's degree, I started teaching at a university here in the area that I live in the Bekaa, which you know it. And I started my teaching at this university. I started teaching environmental sciences and several courses there. But after a few years, I decided to that I wanted to make a shift. And back then, I was a little bit overweight, and I made a shift in my life. I decided to start living a healthy life, and I started exercising, which I hated most of my life. So in 2003, I started really regular exercise after meeting a beautiful girl that I cannot forget. Her name is Lara Al I know. I guess you know her. She was with us at AUB in the dorms, and she encouraged me to start exercising. She was very athletic, and that was when I started enjoying exercising. And we used to do yoga. We used to go jogging, and doing all these activities together. And after I graduated, I continued my healthy exercising and I started eating healthy and I lost the extra weight that I had. And so after working and teaching for several years, I wanted to help other people to shift their lives to a better, healthier life. But I wanted this legal format. So I did another BS degree at the same university I was teaching in, and I had my degree in nutrition and dietetics, and I did my internship at the hospital where I worked for a couple of years. كمان after that, and I opened my own private clinic where I started helping people in fixing their lifestyles. And I'm not a very big fan of really dieting and stopping consuming certain good stuff. So I wanted people to learn how to eat, but I wanted to learn the cues behind why they are eating, and I helped them discover and the reason why they are eating and why they are being overweight. It's why you are eating for other reasons than hunger. So this is how it started. And a couple years after I started my clinical practice, come in, I felt that there is something missing. And I was a very passionate person about yoga. So I came across this course online that said, face yoga. I don't know what. So I decided to go for my yoga journey. And things happened. I went to India to for a teacher training. I got certified, and 1 year after I got my certificate, I started my practice with a couple of friends, and it turned to be a business. A few months later, I opened my own yoga studio in my basement, where I currently teach. And thankfully, my yoga community is also increasing bit by bit, which is I'm enjoying it a lot. And this is, in short, all about my professional journey.
It's such a beautiful story because it's like, do you call it work or do you call it that this is, it became your life? I mean, the way that you're describing it, this is how you live. So there is really no fine line here. There's no blurry lines at all between your life and your work, I'm sure.
Yes, actually, this is one of the things that I really want in life, and this is what I learn from the several readings I do, because I always work on improving myself and researching and reading about other people's opinion in order to form my own way of living. And they say that do what you love so that you don't have to work for the rest of your life. So it's like my passion is to teach people how to live healthy, to teach my students how to live in a good way, in order to be satisfied in every day. And so you don't have to take a vacation from your life. It's not that you're living the life you really want without having to, let's say, to take a break, because it's really a joyful life that you live in.
I agree with you. I have the same motto in life as well, and I try as much as possible that everything I do, it goes back to, does it align with my purpose? Does it align with my values? Does it align with what I enjoy doing? So I absolutely agree with you, and well done. Diving deeper into the topic that we're talking about today, um, how do you define in your own words emotional eating? Because to me it's something different than maybe what another person could experience when they say I have emotional eating. So how do you define it, and what are some common triggers or factors that contribute to emotional eating in people?
Yeah, very nice question, Rasha. Thank you. Actually, emotional eating is when you eat for reasons other than hunger, you see, and other than satisfying your body needs when it comes to all the nutrients it needs. So the normal thing why we eat is to survive. So we eat in order to live, in order to live a healthy life, and to provide the body with all the nutrients it needs, like from carbohydrates to proteins to fats, healthy fats, and this is what the body needs in order to survive and to be healthy. When you go for emotional eating, you eat the things that your body does not really need and that really hurts your body. Like usually people when they emotionally eat, they go for sugars, they go for very fatty foods, they go for fast food, they go for ice cream, and they eat it in large amounts without being mindful of why they are eating and how it makes them feel. And usually, after you eat for an emotional reason, you feel worse than the beginning before you started eating. So you will not solve the problem behind your emotional eating, and you will end up being guilty because you ate. Now you have two problems. It's like you have the first problem, your emotions that you don't know how to deal with, and the fact that you have ate things that made you feel bad afterwards. It's like you are happy when you're eating a piece of chocolate or an ice cream or a burger or whatever, but the feeling you have after you finish it, it's really the bad thing. and you will go in the same loop over and over again, and you will gain weight, you will feel bad, and this is the vicious circle that you cannot escape. And when you eat for an emotional reason, it's like you're having a void inside that you feel that you want to fill with something. And usually people refer to food to fill this gap, this void, and it will get filled very temporary for a very short duration of time, and then you will feel this void again, and you will feel that you want to fill it with something again, and you go come in and you go to food, and it will not be the right reason.
There's a question that came to mind when you started describing it, which is super simple. Is emotional eating is when you start eating the things that your body doesn't really need. And how would you differentiate between somebody who eats because they have this, let's say they feel they want to fill this void, just how you described it, or somebody who wants to indulge? Let's say I like to eat chocolate, or I want to have something sweet after I have a meal, so there a difference between this indulgence that people sometimes tend to go towards, and this condition that can be chronic of emotional eating?
Yes, of course, there's a difference. When you eat, when you enjoy eating something, you usually do it with joy, and you do it, and it makes you feel good. A lot of people have cravings for sweets, especially after their meal, lunch or dinner. But you usually do it in moderation. You eat a small piece of chocolate or a small piece of sweet, and you're satisfied. But if you and you do it because you enjoy it, but once you decide that you want to stop it, you are able to just to stop it, because if once you finish your meal, you can wait for 5 to 10 minutes, and this craving will go away. But when you go for emotional eating, it's like you go and search for food everywhere. And if you crave it at night, you will open all the cupboards, and maybe you will go out and you will buy something to eat. So it's so much different.
And for different people, the cycle that you talked about can go on for, either a few days or a few weeks or a few months. And maybe this becomes their lifestyle. So I guess the most important thing here is self-awareness, and to be able to catch yourself that, why am I eating this? What's making me crave this thing at this hour or in this quantity? And then try to stop yourself. But most of the time it's not really easy, because like you said, there's this void or there's a trigger that will push you to go and say, okay, I want to eat this, I feel like having that at this hour or at this time. It becomes a habit at some point, but when you're in it, you don't, no, even if you're very self-aware, I think this is where the danger starts, is that when you're in it, it's like this really dark cloud around you that doesn't let you see clearly. So this is where I guess the critical point in a person's journey with this, or to try to manage this, is how can I stop it before it gets out of control?
Yes, absolutely. We all go through these phases from time to time, and during the month, for example, especially ladies when they go through their PMSing before their periods or during the ovulation, and sometimes because of certain stresses that you pass through in your life, you refer to food for a kind to escape. But it shouldn't be the whole time. You can do it once or twice, but it you really need to find a solution for your cravings. It's like most people eat out of boredom, for example. If you are bored and you go and you eat a piece of chocolate or a bag of chips or whatever, um, you will not correct the boredom. So when you are, the first thing that you have to do is to define the feeling, which is the most difficult thing to do. It's like before you eat something, you have to ask yourself the certain questions like, am I hungry? If you are eating because you are hungry, this is the normal thing to do. Eat because you are hungry. But if the feeling is I'm bored or I'm anxious or I'm sad or I'm lonely or I'm stressed or whatever, you have to solve the feeling. For example, if you are bored, go and do something. Go out, go for a walk, whatever. Clean your closet, tidy up your room. Do something to not to feel bored again, or read a book, watch a movie, do something. And if you are stressed, the same thing. Go for a class of yoga, or do some deep breathing exercises. Solve the stress. Go talk to a close friend of yours to feel better. Go to a therapist, but don't go to eat, because eating will only make the feeling worse. It will not fix it. So the first thing is to define the feeling. This is what you said, to be aware and to be mindful of yourself and your emotions. Once you know your emotions and you really know how to define them and how to give it a title, and sometimes we feel bad, but we don't know what we really feel. Like, what's wrong with you? You say, I don't know, I just feel bad. And you have to go and dig deep behind the root causes of your sadness. And this is the hard part. Most people don't do it because it requires effort and it's not that easy to do. And nowadays, we have the problem of people wanting the easy way out. This is why most people refer to drugs and medicine and alcohol in order to escape their feelings, and they don't solve them from the root causes. And these solutions that people refer to are easy, but they don't solve the problem. And instead, they will make it worse. They will get addictions. They will get health problems because of these things, and their problem will remain the same. So if they take this time to dig deep inside them, to do some self reflection or some self healing, they will be able to solve the problem without referring to any other sources like alcohol or drugs or medicine or whatever.
So for me, in my personal journey with this, I found that at different times, some tools would work better than others. Like, for example, there was times when I would, let's say, if I found myself going into this loop, into this cycle, I will decide the next day to fast. So if I fast for 1, 2, 3 days, however, whatever the time it is that I need, I realize that it will help me snap out of that cycle. Some days it doesn't really work. I would fast 1 or 2 days, and then after that I come back, and it feels like I'm still having those cravings. For Sometimes it's what you call it. You use a habit to trigger another habit. So sometimes what works for me is if I start my day by exercising, I go for a walk or I do yoga or do any kind of exercise. Yes, I would tend to get more hungry during the day because I've just burned a lot, during in the morning or at the beginning of my day. But then I would feel more guilty if I wanted to indulge, if I wanted to give in to the cravings, because I know that I started my day well. So, why do I want to ruin it now? So it depends on, I guess, my emotional state. It depends on what is it that is creating that craving, that I have this set of tools. And sometimes I'm not even aware that I'm in it. And then many days go by or a couple of weeks go by. And then it's like I realize my clothes are not fitting me anymore the way they used to. And that's when I say something is not okay. So I guess with everyone, the most important thing, like you mentioned also, is having that self awareness, having all these beautiful tools that of things that something might work for me might not work for somebody else. So everyone has to try out different things and see what is it that they like, what is it that they enjoy, because I really believe that it has to be something we enjoy. We're not supposed to be doing things that we don't enjoy just because I don't think that's sustainable.
Yes, I just want to agree with you. It's when you do this lifestyle change, it is personalized. Not everyone has the same It's not like a protocol that you offer for everyone. It's like everyone has a different case. Some people are morning people, others are night people. So you have to adjust the lifestyle to their needs and to their way. And you cannot force someone to wake up early if they don't like to wake up early. Even though it's healthier, even though it makes their life much better, but you have to do it gradually. You have to encourage them to do the most important shifts in their lives in order to gradually reach the best lifestyle that they can ever have. It's not a magic pill, it's not something that you can do overnight. It requires months, sometimes years of perseverance and of change, but you have to do them gradually. And every small step counts. It's like if you want to lose 10 kilograms, you can do them in 10 months. If you lose only 1 kilogram per month, that will be ten kilograms. And even though you say that 1 kilogram per month is nothing, but at the end they will add up and they will become the goal that you have always dreamt about. And people usually nowadays they want the fast way out. It's like, no, go slowly. It's more attainable, it's more reachable, and you will not have to deprive yourself from anything in life if you do it gradually and with consistency. It's the small steps that count, but it's important to do these small steps.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. And it's nice what you said about having an accountability body, because sometimes we feel like, just on my own, I might cheat. Nobody knows and nobody can see me. But if I have this, at least one friend that I can talk to, or an accountability buddy that I can go to and say, this is my progress, this is what I've been doing, they become kind of like your personal cheerleader too. And it becomes something like, you say to yourself, you think twice before you reach out and you grab for something, and you say, it's okay to cheat. And then you're like, yeah, but then by the end of the week or by the end of the month, when I talk to my friend and I tell them what my progress has been, then it's not going to feel very nice. So I like that advice that you gave too. And something that I wanted to ask you, which I find very intriguing, is that you see children nowadays having this problem. I mean, we've talked about anxiety in children in other episodes with different experts, but it's really heartbreaking to see emotional eating in children, especially at young ages. So how does it differ between adults and children? Where do you think it starts? Do you think, is it that children see their parents doing this or somebody in their family, and therefore it becomes normal for them to do it? Or how do they develop this habit?
Actually, Rasha, this is a very hard question. Because nowadays you have mixed things that are all contributing to the lifestyles that we are following. It starts from the very first meal that a child has after the 6 month of exclusive breastfeeding, if he was breastfed. Because nowadays the nutrition of the child starts from the day one of conception, of the pregnancy. And the child is affected by the types of diet and lifestyle that the mother goes through during her pregnancy, and her nutritional status during that pregnancy, and what she goes through, the emotions that she goes through during the pregnancy and after, during delivery. You know that there's a difference between the child who is born normally and the other one who is born in c-section, in terms of immunity, in terms of good health. So the normal delivery children are usually healthier than those who are born c-section. And there's another thing, and when they start eating, the first meal usually has to be the colostrum, which is the first milk that goes out of the mother's breast. And this is very crucial, and this has the most important nutrients that the child needs. And nowadays, most of the women, they do not breastfeed and they go for formula. So if you start the life of your child feeding them formulas instead of natural breast milk, and having this connection, the immunity of the mother, and everything is so important to breastfeed your child. And then this will go for like 6 months. If you exclusively breastfeed, you are giving your child the best things ever, and it's in addition to the emotional connection that you have with the child. This is number one. And then it starts with the first meal. After 6 months, you introduce the solid food for the children. And these solid food also have to be healthy. And this is how you develop the taste buds of the children and the infants. And you have to do it gradually. You have to introduce things that are less tasty in order for the child to not to be a picky eater later on, and then you introduce the sweet stuff. And but nowadays they are going to these formulas and these very highly processed foods that you don't know what kind of preservatives they have. And these things also affect the hormones of the body, and they have sometimes they are the additives can be this endocrine disruptors. They can affect the hormones that are present inside the child's body, and all these stuff. And they feed them highly sugary and sweet foods and highly processed foods and all these stuff. So it starts from there, you know. And some women do not take care about of their diets or their lifestyle when they get pregnant, and this is very bad. And we have another thing, which is the lifestyles that we are following, like a lot of screen time. Every child has his phone or his tablet, and they watch a lot of YouTube videos and things that can disrupt their brain. They are not physically active as we used to be. Remember when we were kids, we used to play, uh, we used to stay outside our homes in the summertime from morning till evening, and we always used to run and jump and go on the bicycle and all this stuff. Nowadays, they are all in front of the screen, and they have a lot of these fast food and these processed food that they are eating, um, either at home or at school in the cafeterias of school, which they offer a lot of unhealthy foods, unfortunately. And sometimes when they get bored or when they are in front of their tablets, they are eating, they are snacking on something while they are watching, and usually they snack on unhealthy stuff. So it's hard to say whether the children are eating for emotional reasons or because of the bad lifestyle that is surrounding them. And sometimes children have problems with their parents. And if you are born in a family with abusive parents, or you have a certain type of trauma in your childhood, it's very hard to define. And nowadays, the functional medicine that we talked about the other time, me and you, they are looking at the root causes of the diseases that can come from childhood traumas. You see, so it's very complicated. It cannot be solved with a couple of words, because every case is different than the other, and you cannot really define it. But I can find a trend nowadays with children. They are eating a lot of junk food, even though their parents do not allow it, because they keep on screaming and nagging and whatever in order for them to get what they want. And if the parents don't want their children to eat junk food, they see their colleagues at school and elsewhere, they are eating these things. So this is something that has to be dealt with on a national level. The government has to force and healthy eating habits in schools and in institutions. I think this is the only way, because and I don't think that the companies will be happy hearing me say this, because it will make them lose a lot of money. But this is the only way. We really need to force it.
Yes, I agree. It's not the easiest maybe approach, but I found that it's I think that takes more long lasting effects of approach with my daughter, who's almost 14 now. And it's if I show her the facts, it's if I show her the effects of what eating this can do to her health and her body in the long term versus eating that, and I keep it there, because as much as I try not to buy these things at home and keep our home free of junk food and snacks and all that, there's always going to be places and times with friends, or she's craving this or they want to do that, where she's not going to be with me. She's going to make a decision on her own. And so I'd rather just leave her with, the facts, the tools. This is what's going to happen. Eat your fruits and vegetables first, and then you won't be as hungry anymore to eat as much of the other stuff. So I find that approach, it really really helps. And something else that came to mind when you were talking about children spending a lot of time on social media is, we, especially for girls, something that parents need to be mindful of is that it doesn't go to the other extreme where they start developing other disorders because they see all these girls looking a certain way, or appearing on social media in a certain way, and then they become very conscious of their own bodies. And sometimes it's not really, most of the time it's not really practical, or it's not really realistic, the expectations that we get, and it's not healthy, of course, absolutely. And it can be detrimental to their emotional and mental health as well. So parents have to be mindful that it doesn't go all to the other way, where they develop different eating disorders.
Absolutely, you are absolutely right. Other than the sedentary lifestyle that they have watching these YouTubes and social media stuff, is the emotional and psychological traumas that they have from watching all these fake things that go on the social media, and that, as you said, they are not realistic. But the great thing that I love about what you said with your daughter, Rasha, is to make them aware of it. For example, I have my nephew is 9 years old, and I told him the other day he got this ice cream which was full of artificial colorings, and I told him, "Do you know that this is bad for you?" He said, "Why?" Go and Google it. See what does artificial flavorings and colorings do. And he searched Google and he saw cancer, cancer, cancer everywhere. So he was like, "Oh my God, I want to return this. I don't want to eat it anymore." And now they are aware when they go, and my niece is 6. So when they go to a shop and they want to buy something, they look for the additive things and coloring and red 40 and these stuff. So they are aware and they stopped buying these stuff. بس أكيد it's not 100%, but at least they reduced the amount of their consumption of these stuff tremendously. And عن جد they are becoming more aware of that. So it's the best thing is to raise awareness among children, and this is of course the job of the parents. And sometimes children do not listen to their parents, so it's the job of the schools and the educational systems, which has to be done continuously because people tend to forget. Even we, the healthy people and the ones who really know about the bad stuff, about sugar and all these things, we usually indulge in them sometimes. Imagine the people who don't know and who haven't even searched about it. So we always need to remind ourselves of the importance of being healthy. And there's one thing that is very important. Sometimes we refer to medicine in order to solve certain health issues, and sometimes only changing your lifestyle and your diet habits can really make you feel good and make you get rid of all the bad symptoms that you physically feel. So we really need to start eating healthy and natural.
I agree with you, yes. When you were talking, also something else came to my mind. So it's this whole idea of what's the chicken and what's the egg and which one came first. So when you treat a client that comes to you with this condition, do you approach it from an emotional point of view and say, let's deal with the emotional issues that are triggering you to reach out for these foods and have these cravings? Or do you start with developing the small habits, daily habits that will accumulate and then hopefully become something more permanent? Or do you do both at the same time? What's your general approach to this?
Actually, it depends from client to client because, as I said, everyone is different, and usually different approaches goes to different people. But sometimes there are they go usually they go hand in hand because changing your lifestyle can help in your emotional stuff. If you don't exercise at all and you started exercising, this alone can change your mood, it can change your emotions, and it can change your psychological state. Because, exercising is very good for the mood and it's very good to combat depression and to make you feel very good because it works on improving your hormones, that the happiness hormones in your body. So they go hand in hand, but sometimes it's the most important thing is for someone to be aware of his feelings or her feelings, because we all have our emotional and psychological things. It's not like you have something very serious, but sometimes it can be something that is very trivial. And I have a client that I cannot forget. She used to come to me. She was young, she was in her 20s, and she was engaged to be married. She was always sad, and always there's a tear in her eye. I was like, what's wrong? Is there something that is bothering you and stuff? And it was like, no, I have a problem in my family and stuff. I thought that someone is sick or someone has cancer or someone is dying. She was like, no, just take some issues. We had a fight between cousins and stuff like that. And I was like, oh my God, this can be solved. It's not that big of a deal. You have to cope with it in a different way. It's not that big of a deal. And since we had this conversation, me and her, and she was relieved emotionally, she started really enjoying her lifestyle, and she lost the weight in no time. In like 7 months, she lost like 21 kilos, and she looked fabulous for her wedding. And the most important thing is that she got rid of this thing that was, for me, it was trivial, but for her, it made a big, it was a very big emotional thing for her. So we cannot treat every person the same because sometimes you can have a fight with your daughter and it's a big thing for you. Um Compared to someone who doesn't really even care about such things. So, and some people are more sensitive than others. They're more emotional. So everyone is different. But the problem is for people to be consistent in what they're doing. And this is the problem. People lose interest very fast. And this is where we really need to keep on motivating them. And this is why emotional support is something that is very crucial whenever it comes to emotional eating or any kind of change that you want to do in your life. Whether it is dieting, losing weight, being healthy, consistent in your work, anything, we are social creatures and we all need emotional and connections, which we cannot live without. And having a good circle of friends is very important for a person to be healthy, because you know that there's a connection between physical health and emotional health. And there's a field of medicine that is new, relatively new, that's called psychosomatic medicine. And that is the physical symptoms that have emotional roots. So sometimes you have a stomach ache, but there's nothing wrong with your stomach. And the reason behind your feeling this pain in your stomach is because you are stressed. So there's nothing wrong in your stomach. You have to solve the stress, and once the stress is solved, the pain will disappear. So it's very complicated. It's not that simple. Actually, it's simple and complicated at the same time. So you can once you know the reason, it becomes easy to solve it. But the thing is to know what is the main culprit behind why what you are feeling and why you are behaving in a certain way.
Yes, as always, everything starts with self awareness. And like you said before, and this came up in a previous interview where I was talking with my guest about something completely different, and you can see how things start to tie up in different areas in your life, and when you're trying to manage different conditions, which is that social element that ironically speaking, we have all these tools to be connected more to people like me and you. We haven't seen each other in person in over 20 years, and then we have these beautiful tools that we can use and to our advantage and that are at our disposal, and then people don't really use them necessarily. Not everybody probably uses it in the right way, so we forget that we're not alone, especially for, let's say, us as Lebanese. Our families are all over the place. I have family in more than 5 countries, and I don't necessarily need to feel that I'm alone living where I'm living, because I have ways to connect to everyone. And of course, I have friends where I am. And people need to remember that it's not just okay to ask for help and ask for support. It's a given. It's something that is just like the sun rises every day. This is a given. You are supposed to ask for help and you're supposed to ask for support, and people are there for each other. We're meant to live, like you said, in communities. We're meant to live in social formats where everybody is helping and supporting everybody. Even they used to say, it takes a village to raise a child. And even if it's not 100% now, maybe we don't have access to a whole village. Whatever we do have access to, let's take it, let's use it, let's accept it and embrace it. So I agree with you, Rana, with what you said, and everything eventually always starts with awareness and self-awareness. And I have a final question. If you can leave one bit of advice somewhere where people can uh, start with, anybody who's struggling with emotional eating, and you can tell them today, this one bit of advice is going to start to help you start or kickstart your journey into overcoming this and having a more lasting change in your life, what would it be?
This one is very simple and yet it requires a lot of effort. The first thing and the most important thing and place to start with is you. Every single person has a trigger. So the first thing is everyone needs to do is to self-reflect and to evaluate his life and to know where and why they are here, to have their purpose in life. And once you know what you are and you know what you need to change and what you want to reach and what are the goals you want to reach, because everyone has different goals. Some people want to be more healthy, other people want to lose weight, some other people want to be more successful or more or happier or stronger or whatever. So the first thing that you need to do is to know what you want, to know your purpose, and then to put a plan that is realistic, to divide the big plan into smaller chunks that you can achieve. It's like, if I don't exercise at all, I cannot exercise for 2 hours every single day all of the sudden. It's like, start to incorporate physical activity step by step. Like, start with 10 minutes a day and then increase gradually. So, um, prepare your body for the changes. Don't do it abruptly, because if you do it in a very sudden way, it will not be sustainable. So the and you need to do something that you can be consistent in. It's all about consistency. For example, when it comes to exercise, if you exercise only once a week, you will not benefit unless you do it regularly. It's about regular exercise activity. You really need to eat healthy every day, not only one meal. You have to eat healthy most your most meals have to be, or most of your meals have to be healthy. So it's about these small accumulations. It's the importance of the small steps to start with, changing one small habit at a time. Especially, and it depends from person to person, because when you want to solve your life, when you want to live healthier, there are different things that contribute to, especially to emotional eating. You need to work on your sleep, which most people ignore, your water intake, your exercise, your eating, your emotions, the stress level, and all these stuff. And these, if you want to do them all at the same time, it is really hard to do. So start one habit at a time, and it requires like 21 days for you to acquire a new habit. So it takes time, and it's okay to take enough time to make the change, because we want the change to be permanent. We don't want to lose, like, if you want to lose weight, you don't want to lose, for example, 10 kilograms in 1 month and then get them back after 3 months, 15. So if you lose, for example, 5 kilograms and you lose them permanently, it's much better than losing 10 kilograms very fast and then regaining 15 kilograms in a couple of months. So people really need to be realistic. They have to achieve and set realistic goals and achievable goals, and they have to put a time frame which is realistic as well. So these the smart goals that the business people talk about have to be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time frame. And this applies to everything in life, especially, about when we talk about healthy lifestyles and acquiring healthy habits. So we really need to take our time to be consistent, and to be consistent in every step we make.
I love those insights. Thank you for that, Rana. And I know that in your practice, you do one on one sessions, and you also take clients and you work with them online. It's not just in person. So tell us more about your practice. And if anybody is interested to reach out to you, how can they do it?
Actually, I have my Instagram page, Activerde Lifestyle, and I'm also active on Facebook. I also have a Facebook page and a TikTok as well. And I have my website, activerde.com, where they can communicate with me, and I have several packages for the one-on-one. And I'm also planning to do some group meetings for larger groups of people, where we can exchange our expertise and our experiences, and learn from each other's experiences and mistakes in order to improve our lives, because you know that everyone has his own experience, and we can learn from each other's experiences. And like today, for example, we are discussing things, and when we see different points of view, you can get a better approach and a better figure of what's happening around you.
So I love these workshops, just like where like what we were saying earlier, that bringing communities together and people who are like-minded under this one setting to talk about specific subject. First of all, it makes everybody involved understand and feel that they're not alone in this journey and their struggles. And then, like you said, everybody's point of view, you never know who you might inspire. Your story or the way that you overcame something, you never know how it might affect somebody else, and it might not be immediate. I like to say it that sometimes, you plant a seed and it stays there, and when the right time comes and when there is the right environment, then that seed will start to sprout and grow. So I love these workshop setups, and I can't wait. I'm really looking forward to attend one of them.
Yes, I'm looking forward to. And there's something that I really loved about what you said, and I want to add something to it. We just need some compassion in life. That's all we need. We need people to be compassionate with each other and to support each other. And this is how we can have a better place to live in. Because what's happening around us, especially on social media, you see all these coaches, and now it's booming, and not everyone is really specialized in what they're doing. Unfortunately, a lot of bad and wrong information is being spread, especially in the field of nutrition, as you know. So we really need to have more compassion and more honesty in this world. And once we have these, go back to the normal love and care for each other and not being evil, it can improve so much of everybody's lives, especially when you have someone that is compassionate and that feels your pain. Because every one of us has his own or her own pain in life, and we just need a shoulder to cry on, or someone to tap on our shoulder and to tell us that we can make it. And this is all we need. Only some kinds and some words of encouragement, and they can make a big difference in everyone's lives. And this is what I'm really proud of, what you're doing in Healantra, Rasha. And Jad, it's really very inspiring and very positive. We really need more people like you.
Thank you, Rana. Likewise to you as well. Thank you for your beautiful words of encouragement and your wisdom and all the beautiful insights that you shared with us today. And I look forward to do more work with you together. I think that we can do so much more together. Thank you so much for your time, Rana.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode. We hope you found it insightful and you enjoyed it as much as we did creating it. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this. Let's continue creating this amazing community of holistic wellness seekers and practitioners together. See you in the next one.